Retiring to Arizona sounds like a dream, until you remember it's literally a desert. Sure, you're getting 300 plus days of sunshine a year in places like Phoenix and Tucson, but you're also getting steering wheels that double as branding irons and armpits that are about as dry as a swamp in the rainy season. Today we're breaking down the top 10 pros and the top 7 cons of retiring in Arizona. Stick around because we're covering it all, the good, the bad, and the part where you and your spouse fight over thermostat settings every single day. Let's take a look. Number 10, sunny days. Arizona doubles down on sunshine. Think 11 months of sunny days in Phoenix, Tucson, and places like Yuma. Even the winter sun feels like a personal gift. You'll wear shorts while the rest of the country is wearing puffy jackets. This constant sunshine brightens your mood, helps your aging joints, and things like the winter blues just vanish. You stop checking weather apps, blue skies become as normal as breathing. And yes, after a couple years, you barely notice it's sunny. It just is. But that's sort of the charm. Every day is reliably nice. You'll finally realize what your grandparents were talking about when they said they were escaping the cold. Most people move from northern states to the Phoenix, Arizona area for retirement, or even Tucson, even up in some of the hills areas like Prescott. Even though Prescott gets some cold weather, most of the time it's decent. And instead of, making sure you're layered when you go out in the winter in like places like Minnesota, you'll be making sure you have a hat and sunglasses with you in Arizona. Now, I should mention Arizona's climate yields very clear nights also. You'll see stars more than ever, and a full moon over Sonora is almost spiritual. Number 9, winter feels like you're cheating. While Lou from the bowling team back in Ohio is scraping ice off his windshield, you'll be golfing, hiking, and dining on your patio through January. When your dinner guests in your backyard ask you if you missed the snow, you'll start giggling like an idiot and say, "Fuck no." Typically, winter highs in the lower elevation cities stay in the 60s and 70s Fahrenheit. It's so bad with good weather, locals start talking about how winter stayed late when it's actually 75 degrees in April. Now, these mild winters are one of Arizona's biggest perks. No blizzards, no salt trucks, no cabin fever. You actually want to go outside. The golf course, the pickleball court are all packed. Hiking trails host real people and not just hardy Michigan hikers. Instead of shoveling, you're exploring the Grand Canyon, Sedona Red Rocks, or the trails in the Saguaro National Park, which I went hiking there after rain one time. Oh my God, it was beautiful. I'd only seen pictures of it during its desert phase, no rain in a few months and everything just looked like a wasteland. The cactus were pretty cool, but I was lucky enough to go there like a day or two after rain. Oh my God, it was beautiful. It's like somebody ran through the place and started spray painting plants. In short, winter here feels like you found a loophole. Winter with tank top weather. Number 8, low property taxes. Usually. One of the quieter wins in Arizona is property taxes. Compared to the Northeast and the Midwest, they're a bargain. In Phoenix area counties, the effective rate runs about 0.6 to 0.7 of the home value. On the typical $500,000 home, this could be somewhere around $3,200 to $3,600. That's far below Illinois, New Jersey, New York, and just about most states. In practical terms, this means your monthly mortgage or rent has less tax bolted on. Retirees on fixed incomes don't have to remortgage their sanity every single year. And Arizona also has programs like a property tax valuation freeze to keep costs reasonable for seniors. I really hope this thing, where a lot of states are talking about, Florida mainly, that they want to freeze property tax when someone retires. I really hope that catches on, because when you're retired, an extra $3,000 in your pocket every single year is a nice little bonus. Now, one little caveat to that, keep in mind that Prescott, Sedona, and Flagstaff are a little bit higher because they're in other counties. But even then, you're going to find that it's a lot lower than most coastal cities. Number 7, don't tax my Social Security. Arizona makes retirees happy by not taxing Social Security benefits. That's extra money to stay in your pocket every single month. And this is starting to become a trend. We talked about it in other videos, that for retirees, why are you getting your Social Security taxed by anyone? It doesn't make sense, and I think a lot of people are starting to realize that, so a lot of states are looking into it or already have done the whole no tax on Social Security thing. Arizona, obviously, being one of them. Federal taxes still still might apply, but as far as state taxes go, your hard-earned Social Security check is safe from the state. Arizona is really not a big tax state. They're considered tax-friendly. Number 6, outdoor fun. If you've ever dreamed of an outdoorsy retirement, Arizona has that for you. You've got mountains, deserts, forests, national parks, all within easy reach. The Grand Canyon, Sedona, Saguaro National Park, like we talked about earlier, and dozens of more spots at your doorstep. Now, here's the really cool thing about Arizona, where you might not have as much, let's say, water time that you would someplace like in Florida, or we just talked about South Carolina in our last video. They make up for it with a ton of golf courses. Now, they got a ton of people there trying to golf, but you got a lot to choose from. The other cool thing is it's year-round golf. But it's not just the golf. Imagine hiking a new trail in April or kayaking on a mountain lake in November. Desert wildflowers bloom in the spring, fall foliage appears along the higher rivers, and you got cool mountain streams that you could go hang out in March. All in all, to be outdoors in retirement in Arizona is pretty easy to do. The whole golf thing is a big selling point for a lot of retirees. And when it comes to the whole golf thing, you have over 370 golf courses across the state to choose from. A website called the top100golfcourses.com lists Scottsdale National Golf Course as the best in Arizona. You got the Estancia Club in Scottsdale, Forest Highland Golf Club, which is south of Flagstaff, and Whisper Rock Golf Club near Scottsdale. Good looking courses. I've only seen the pictures, but they look really nice. Number 5, it's still a deal. Arizona used to be cheap, and it's still cheaper than most popular places. Housing prices in Phoenix and Tucson are well below what you'd pay in California, New York, Massachusetts, or Washington State. Outside the Phoenix metro, places like Sierra Vista or Yuma are downright affordable for many retirees. Healthcare costs and everyday expenses are normally lower than coastal metros. There's one big exception. If you want to live in a trendy metro spots like Central Phoenix, Scottsdale, or Flagstaff, prices have climbed, but the state still offers many communities, even near bigger cities, where your retirement dollar stretches further than it would, let's say, in some place like Los Angeles, Boston, New York, Seattle, or the Bay Area. So what I'm getting to is Arizona used to be extremely affordable. Now it's just a little more affordable. Its popularity has driven prices up, and that's how California got to the way it is. Its popularity drove prices up. Texas is in the middle of that right now. People have been moving there, so prices have gone up. Everyone gets their turn. Number 4, retirement communities on easy mode. Arizona is practically built for retirees. And I'm not just talking about ramps instead of stairs, or menus with really large print. This state has a ton of complete communities like Sun City and Leisure World with golf courses, pools, clubs, and more activities than you could shake a putter at. Healthcare clinics and shopping centers often pop up right next door. These are whole massive communities built for retirees. It's like a ready-made social scene. You could be as active or as solitary as you like. Mornings might start with yoga or a community hike, afternoons at the pool or the club or the bridge tournament. The whole ecosystem is designed so your golden years are, well, golden. What I really like about these communities is when it comes to the healthcare, because as soon as the community starts getting built up, they start building clinics around it. Now, that sounds like some healthcare professionals are being opportunistic. They are, but it's beneficial to the retirees. And it's not just health clinics, it's anything else that you might need as a retiree. They know you're going to be there. They know you're a captive audience to a degree, so they're going to make it as easy for you to go someplace, pay for something, and go back home and maybe come back again. Number 3, the desert has personality. Arizona doesn't have oceans, beaches, or lush forests, but it has its own striking beauty. The deserts in Arizona and really New Mexico glow with pink and orange. Sedona's red rocks catch the sunshine and the sunset. I'm not a desert person, but there are a lot of people that are into deserts. They prefer the desert over a swampy place or pine trees with the occasional snow. I'm not one of them, but I do realize that it has a certain amount of beauty that is lost on me for the most part, but I know people love it. Like they say, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And a lot of the retiree snowbirds move down to Arizona because they want to see something different. They've seen the trees and the snow of Minnesota. They've seen the lakes and the ponds and the creeks of Ohio. They've seen the homeless camps and the trash of Portland, Oregon. They want to see some nice sunsets now with some rocks and some cactus. So the scenery for a lot of people is definitely a pro of living in Arizona. Number 2, big city healthcare. Arizona's major metro areas have top-notch medical care. Banner Mayo Clinic in Phoenix, and they got a ton of large teaching hospitals all across the state. Now, when I say around the state, I mean in the major metro areas, the different ones. They do have a lot of smaller hospitals in the smaller cities, but I don't want anyone giving me a hard time because they don't have a teaching hospital in Globe, Arizona. They do have a regional medical center right up the road in Marathon. But like I've been saying, Arizona is a retirement state, so they're going to make sure they have the appropriate healthcare. Even if the state's not doing it, plenty of healthcare corporations see that it is a gold mine here, and they, make the appropriate moves, build the appropriate facilities. Now, if you look at the state ranking, they're middle of the road. That's because they have a lot of really remote places, so healthcare access in those communities are really low. But if you look at the cities ranked throughout the United States on healthcare, out of the 200 largest cities, Phoenix is ranked 6th in the nation. The bottom line, in the main population centers, Arizona has healthcare that ranks with any state, critical for aging retirees. And number 1 on the pro side, life actually slows down. By far, one of the biggest pluses is how relaxing life feels in Arizona. The Grand Canyon State doesn't hit you with crazy traffic except maybe during snowbird season. It's not as dense as New York City, and most retirement communities have everything you need within a short driving distance. Days take on a gentle rhythm. Mornings often start early to beat the heat, and then the afternoons are really laid back because of the heat. Tasks get done at your leisure. Golf can be a weekly thing. For the most part, people are friendly. For retirees tired of the rat race, Arizona's vibe is saying retirement in Arizona feels like retirement. It's no wonder Arizona is the second most popular state for retirees. Number 7, everyone and their uncle moves here for winter. If you visit Arizona before you move there, make sure you go in the winter so you could see what it is like during those winter months. Nearly 500,000 Northerners descend on Arizona. For a few months, Arizona hums like Times Square on New Year's Eve, if Times Square were filled with folks playing shuffleboard instead of partying. What does this mean to you? Traffic spikes, restaurant wait times increase, grocery aisles feel like a weird mix of out-of-state accents, your sleepy little burger joint now feels like the DMV at noon. Even hotels in Scottsdale might charge resort rates from January through March, the exact opposite of almost every place else in the country. Locals do learn to adapt. They even call that rental season. But it's still a jolt if you came from a smaller, quieter town someplace else. Now here's the kicker. Come April, poof, half of them vanish like they got too close to a magician with really bad eyesight. Number 6, those cheap bills start sneaking up. Arizona lures you in with a low home price and taxes, but then the hidden costs add up. As you open your first summer electric bill, you will stand there with your mouth agape and your head askew as you stare at that electric bill, wondering how that is possible. 5 minutes later, you're researching solar panels. In Arizona, homeowners insurance is creeping up also, especially with the growing wildfire risk. Then, of course, there's the dreaded HOA fees because everything in Arizona these days seems to have an HOA to go with it. In short, the state is still relatively affordable, but it's not free. Utilities and insurance are quietly eating at your budget. A retiree flipping on every light can notice a $200+ electric bill every single summer. So while Arizona is not New Jersey, plan on some fattened utility bills. They don't wreck the game, they just make you watch your step. Number 5, no taxes on Social Security, but others take a bite. Ah yes, Arizona won't touch your Social Security. That's great, but it does have a trick up its sleeve. It taxes everything else that's retirement. Your IRA, your 401k, your pension, they all get hit with a flat 2.5% income tax rate. Now, you could deduct up to $2,500 of public and government pensions. And sales tax? Well, they got that there too, 5.6%. When you get your local rates, it can push it up over 10%. Groceries and prescriptions are exempt. Property taxes remain low relative to many states, but they're definitely not zero. There is no estate tax, so that's good for your kids, not for you. In short, Arizona gives retirees a break on Social Security, but it's not completely a free ride here. It never is. Number 4, outdoor fun with a curfew. We praise the year-round outdoor activity, but then there's summer. By May, your schedule shifts into vampire mode. Outdoor life mostly happens in early mornings or late evenings. Midday is basically off limits. If you value spontaneous gardening, barbecues at 2 p.m., or midday golf, forget about it. For about 5 months, your world rotates around the sun's schedule. It's definitely doable, but it is a bit of a pain. I mean, if you come from someplace like Southern California where you could just golf most of the year, go for a hike most of the year, there's maybe 2 weeks all year where it gets terribly hot and you can't really do much. Of course, unless you're out in Death Valley, then that's a different story entirely, because that might as well be Arizona. But for some retirees, that schedule disruption is mildly annoying. Your alternative? Stay by the pool or indoors. Number 3, the hidden gem is now on Instagram. Arizona's popularity climbed fast. Back in the 1990s, you could find wide open spaces at bargain prices. Now, especially around Phoenix, Flagstaff, and a few other places, homes cost more. The typical Phoenix house is now about $410,000. Back in 2017, it was $218,000. These days, Tucson's about $324,000, Flagstaff's about $556,000, and anywhere around Sedona, you're looking about $909,000 to get a house. Sedona is a luxury place now. So if you're looking for something sub $200,000 fixer-upper, good luck. The cheap finds have mostly been snapped up by Californians, Midwesterners, and early movers. This is the same thing that happened to California back in the 80s, in the 90s really. Number 2, healthcare gaps outside the big cities. Now, we sort of already talked about this. Healthcare is pretty good, especially in the major cities here. But once you get outside the major cities, you start running into problems with accessibility. If you live, let's say, in rural Yuma or the far outskirts of Flagstaff, expect fewer specialist options. You might have to drive for an hour or an hour and a half for certain care. Wait times can be longer, clinics are smaller. This isn't really an issue for city dwellers, but if you get on the outskirts, you might have some problems. You just gotta kind of remind yourself you're trading convenience for tranquility if you're out in the middle of the desert. Number 1, sunny weather every single frickin' day. Arizona's biggest selling point is weather predictability. This can also be a bit of a bummer too. Imagine this, mid-October rolls around, it's still sunny. Thanksgiving, also sunny. Christmas, yes, it's still sunny and hot in most cases. Now, for a while, this might seem kind of novel and kind of unique, and you enjoy it a little bit, but after a while, you start to miss that weather. Your wardrobe barely changes throughout the year. If you need seasonal variety for excitement, you might feel a nagging sense of monotony here. Plus, most of the days, the weather stays in the same general high 70s to 90s range. Of course, that's outside of summer extremes, which we'll get to. When it gets dark, it cools down a little bit. You could spend years here without a hint of winter. Of course, I'm talking about the most populous area, the Phoenix metro area in Tucson, Yuma, places like that. Yes, if you go up to Flagstaff and Prescott, you can get some better weather, or I shouldn't say better, different weather. But for the most part, most of this state is hot as hell, and the weather doesn't change that often. So it's like 5 straight summers, 5 straight springs. Some people start craving an honest-to-goodness season change. Snowbirds feel this keenly. They want Arizona's climate, but often miss some variety. Now, the summers here, even though they're wonderful and you don't have to worry about a lot of things, it's also kind of extreme, especially in the Phoenix area. Phoenix temperatures regularly hit 105 to 115 degrees. Sometimes it can get a little bit higher. That's not a polite, warm greeting from Mother Nature. It's her roasting you. All right, that is today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you're thinking about moving to Arizona, there's a link for Home and Money in the description area below. They get you a real estate agent anywhere in the country. All right, have a great day. Be nice to each other.